Hello,
I feel
friend.
like when Hot Discord gets crowded Friday afternoons now, there's always multiple channels going.
Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
really cool though, honestly, to see the fact that there's enough activity that you have like, three distinct rooms with like active work and discussion goes to tell you something about the like breadth of the organization's like, scope.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And I don't even know what's going on in the other rooms. The other thing that I think is cool is a lot of times they're used socially as much as for getting work done. So like there's definitely like both a social component as well as like a work component. And that's cool to see as well.
It's nice to have that mix and balance because a lot of the times progress will come on the work side out of the casual engagements when you're not thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, agree.
So I'm not sure what the agenda is for today. I didn't prepare anything to go over. I have some like stuff that's ongoing, that's sort of research that's partially overlapping. I did some more work on profitable path planning with Marcus and that stuff. It's a little bit less focused on anything one hive or honey specific, and just more on a like in the Ethereum context, like various sequences of transactions could be detected to generate and extract this. It's really effectively about talking MEV, because the truth
Yeah.
is that the more complex the moves get, the more likely you'd have to be a miner to successfully detect and execute them. But it's been kind of fun, and if at some point people here want to chat about that, I'm happy to, but I don't think it's a sort of topic of focus. So
I find that topic super, super fascinating, and I've been like following the like minor extractable value space and the MEV-Geth research. So I think that's super interesting. I also have been doing a little bit of work on the honey supply model, and don't have anything super new to show, but I did kind of organize sort of like some experimental situations that I want to get feedback on, and especially trying to figure out, and Sean, maybe you've got some insight, or Z, on the best way to go about structuring the data for visualization. Because I basically got to the point where I'm like, I've got a bunch of these like parameter sweep matrix kind of setups, and then I want to be able to easily like compare across these different runs to get a good understanding of what's going on without like manually going back and forth, just like exploratorily.
Luke, if there's not any like strong call from anybody to do something else, that's the kind of thing that I find productive in co-work, because you're talking about like Danilo has done work on structuring big experiments, setting up the grids, what experiments to run. Like a lot of that stuff we do, at least in Block.Science, in groups. So if that's the place you're at, I would almost say we can, if you update us on where you're at, we can just do it together with Sean here and Danilo here and myself. I like it's co-working work, if anything is.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I'll just give an update of kind of where I'm at. I had a pretty, I would say, scrambled week. There was just lots of different things on the go. So the one hive work, I feel like it's gotten a little bit fuzzy. So I was really hoping today, it sounds like it's perfectly aligned because I was hoping to just kind of soak up what everyone else is thinking and what everyone's got on the go to sort of refresh my brain and get back into it. So this actually sounds perfect for me.
The other thing that I know you and I talked about very briefly is, if you're interested, I think we still really want somebody to do the merger of the historical conviction voting data from OneHive with the OneHive model. And we had looked at a little bit with Andrew, who's not on here. But I know it's something we'd want to be able to sort of compensate you for working on, since it's in your skill area. But I just have to figure out like what the right org or entity, how to go about it, because we had spec'd out some of that work, partially done some of it, but really not gotten all the way through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking. I came back to that a few times because I find it super interesting. But I was kept thinking, I the, there'll be so much more leverage for me to get started on this in collaboration with you guys. Since you've been thinking about this, you've done some base work. There would probably be a lot of hours of me like surveying if I was to just start by myself. So I think we should start on like a collaborative note on that one, and it'll set me in the right direction, and it'll save some dev hours.
So then I think what we need to do is, whether it's one of these sessions or a separate session, try to like grab Andrew, and again it'll be a sort of a collaborative session with a different focus. So
Mm.
I'll like pin it in a moment, but if we do the experiment planning stuff with Luke that we just talked about today as a more of a co-working hack session, then maybe if we can get Andrew in, we'll do that on a different one.
Perfect. So Luke, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can hop right into it if there's nothing else to cover before.
Sorry, I was a couple minutes late, guys. I'm just pulling together some of the notes that we have chatted about in the doc and coordinating on recording with Boring. So we can kick it off whenever we are ready.
Cool. Let me pull up my notebook. Cool. I don't think I've committed this and pushed it to the yet, but I'll do that after the call. But I kind of went through, cleaned up, and simplified a few things. But mostly it's the same. And then I started to try and plan out the analysis. And the first thing I did was I took kind of a historic average for the outflow rate. And I might like revisit this because Monstrosity sent me a like massive Google sheet with a bunch of outflows, but it's not by like month for the time steps. So I kind of estimated, but I might go back and revisit that. But I got a placeholder value for that for like a starting point. And then I picked a kind of starting point just out of intuition for the target reserve ratio of 0.2, which would be 20%, because that's what we had kind of talked about in some of the forum threads, and a throttle of 0.008, which would be the max adjustment per time step, and that was about 10% per year. And that was, again, also based on some of the kind of conversations around like inflation and what people were kind of comfortable with. So I figured it was a good starting point to like look at. And then I picked variance of 25% per time step, and pull being like going towards the target 3/4 of the time, as kind of just a baseline to look at the productivity parameter. And then when I did that, I looked for productivity values where the trend of market saturation ended up either below 0.1, so it kind of like didn't really take off, and also above 0.8. So I got like a range of values where there was interesting stuff happening, and then narrowed that down to like this value here. And then from there, I started to look at the impact based on those assumptions of like modulating the throttle and target reserve ratio, which are the two sort of parameters that we're trying to like decide what to propose as like a good starting point. So I think I set this up correctly where with the parameter sweep, if you've got two sets, you kind of have to like map them together. So we've got 3 different values for the throttle and 3 different values for the target reserve ratio. And then it runs Monte Carlos on each, and we get like a data set that's split like this. And then I don't know, there's probably a better way to like label this so that like it's corresponds to the actual thing you're looking at. That was one of the like data things that I was like, if I was more handy with this, that'd just be an obvious thing to do. But as I understand it, subset 0 would align with sort of the first set. So that would be 0.002 for the throttle and 0.1 for the target reserve ratio, and so on and so forth. So like, I hate that this refresh every time. But then I kind of have them compared, and I could already sort of see that with the higher reserve rate and the higher values, we start to see more success versus less kind of
This is cool.
success there.
I don't know if we have. I haven't heard from him yet, but if we have thoughts from Danilo and on Sean actually also on DataViz, because I think that this is enough to show that there's a really interesting phenomena happening. Because in the top you see it's pretty flat at the bottom, and then the sort of frequency or the number of trajectories that go to the top value, like, is going up as you go down, and there's like, it feels like there's a lot here, and it seems like there could be ways to really pull that out. And I'm not exactly sure what those visualizations are, but some discussions about, okay, cool, we can kind of start to see the phenomena in here. Like, what are the other ways to see this? Because yeah, I mean, like, there's a set of scenarios that define these subsets, and well, one thing that comes to mind is, do these fall in a line or do they fall in a grid? Are there 2 dimensions varied in the subsets? Three? Because I can also see how like number 5 looks more like number 2 and 0 than it looks like, say, 6. And so, in some sense, labeling the subsets by what they have in common and orienting them on a grid might even help tease out the relations.
Yep, that's from a data viz perspective. These charts are awesome. They're like clearly showing some results, and to make an improvement, like the first thing I would do is nothing fancy except exactly what Zargum said, is like labeling the axes. It would be would make a big, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm seeing the patterns, but then at the same time, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking at because I don't know what value and subset, and I'm forgetting what these axes are representing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that was
agree. By the way, what's the code that generates that visualization?
so this is Plotly Express. I pulled this from the cadCAD course in terms of like learning how to use it, so I'm not super familiar with all of the other options. I spent time this week kind of looking at Seaborn and as also the like plotting library that I think Sean, you had mentioned. And I haven't like picked one to like try out. This one seemed really easy in comparison, and it was in the other one for examples, so I started there. But I found it really frustrating because I think it's a relatively heavy library. So as you go through the thing, it like you have to kind of rerun them, and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't know if the labeling is something I can do here, or if it's something that I can do in like the pandas data frame. So like I was thinking maybe what I needed to do is like concatenate the combination of the 2 parameters. So like the 0.1,
Yeah, I think
comma
this could be
0.2, and
the
use
quickest
that as
path.
like labels.
Yeah, I would say that maybe this is the quickest hack.
Okay. Is that a hack or is that the way to do it? I guess is the question. Is that just like a quick fix, or is that like normally would you leave the data frame and try and use the charting library to add labels?
It depends on the scale, really. But one problem that can happen is that sometimes you are sweeping 5 parameters at once or 10 different parameters. And when that happens, you need to adopt a more structured approach for querying things.
Yeah, because I did want to be able to sweep not just those parameters, but like the next kind of analysis step on here. I wanted to look at also sweeping the variant, the like pricing dynamic parameters and the productivity parameters. This one actually, I don't think we're using. I tried to remove stuff that was just like adding like little tiny things. See if that runs, to keep it simpler. But I wanted to sweep through those other parameters as well. But then figuring out how to like do the like matrix visualization, I started to get a little bit overwhelmed with the possibilities.
One thing there, Luke, do you repeat some parameters in the sweep on model params,
Yeah,
the target reserve ratio? Oh yeah, that's to get the multiple results.
yeah, because I wanted the permutations of like this with this and this with this, right? Um, but the other thing is like because we don't have the labels, I'm assuming that the way that this is structured, and I like need to kind of look at the pandas data frame to make sure I'm interpreting it right, is that the first subset is this 0 0.2, 0 0.1. The second subset is 0.04, 0.1. So this would be subset 1, subset 2, subset 3, subset 4, subset 5, subset 6. So if we went back and looked on here, these would be with reserve ratio 0.1. These would be reserve ratio 0.2 and 0.3 for these last three. But because they're not labeled, I just kind of inferring that from how I think that cadCAD's working.
Okay, so oh no, I'm on. So I think we should get these axes labels going, and because that'll clear up that'll have multiple benefits. So let's just take a look at this cell here, the plot, and x equals timestamp. So px.scatter, the simulation result. So should we take a look at that simulation result data frame?
Yeah, that's here.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, okay, and the different okay, yeah, so we have the subsets. Yeah, so we have 9 subsets, right? So,
8, I believe. Yeah. 9, because we're 0 and yeah. Right.
so we basically want to map our subsets. Oh, so is that the index? Seems like that's the index of our data frame kind of thing, or we're specifically using it as well. Maybe, anyways, that doesn't matter. But we kind of want to like reverse label those, right? So based on what subset we're in, we want to map that to the model parameters that we're running. I mean, is that kind of like would that be a useful label for these visualization charts?
Yeah. Because the parameters that are being like changed in these subsets are oh, it did not like this. Hold on.
I'm searching here, but I do have a code snippet that maps the parameters to the pandas data frame.
Sorry, I
But
couldn't
I'm
quite hear
searching.
you.
Oh, I was just telling that I have a line of code here that does the mapping of the parameters to the results data frame. But I'm searching the code here.
Oh, you've got a snippet. But yeah, so I would imagine that subset 0 would map to this pair 0.002 for throttle and target reserve ratio 0.1. And then subset 1 would correspond to these two. So if we could like label so we can easily see that parameter choice, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm looking for. I have a
data.
similar snippet. I think that Danilo mentioned. There's one actually in the cadCAD education course. They show how to generate the same permutations that cadCAD generates as it does this parameter sweep. and then we can use that to generate a label. So I'm kind of looking through the cadCAD education course to see if I can remember where that was.
Let me stop sharing my screen, and then I will share my screen as opposed to window, because I actually have that up as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the cadCAD EDU course has been a really good reference.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. So attribute parameters to each row. Is it this?
Hello.
Oh yeah, you start snippet.
What's going on?
Hey Luigi, this is the Luna like working session call. We're trying to figure out how to manipulate pandas data frames so that like the simulation subset thing corresponds to the different parameter choices that we used. Because otherwise we're just looking at numbers and then trying to map it back to
Oh, this is the unit
like
supply one. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you just showcasing, or are you actually?
No, we're trying to work on the model's kind of here, but in order to like use it, we want to do some like experimental analysis and then visualize that so we can kind of understand what's happening with the different parameter choices. And so this is sort of a data visualization problem right now.
So yeah, let's try that snippet. Seems so promising. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See. Too many VS Code windows up right now. Yeah, sign. This should be simulation result. I don't think that's what I wanted.
Actually, I want to reset the index before running that snippet. So put df equals simulation result dot reset index.
Sorry. Dot what?
Reset index. Or drop the set index on the simulation result line above. printdf.columns. Now print the simulation result. What was the view snippet again? Because I think there is a block there. There is 3 blocks actually.
There's what?
Open the EDU block again. The cell where you copy that snippet.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Only once. Oh, this is stuff related to.
You can drop the lines below the get system events. That works too. But this one would be Hans system events. And also you need to drop the 2 lines below that. And frame must come from the Hans system events.
Sorry, Danilo, you're kind of cutting out for me, so I'm having a hard time following.
Yeah. So, go on.
Yeah, Luke, I have another snippet, another one, also from cadCAD Education. It might be more straightforward. So I posted in the TE Commons bridge. Oh, I should have just posted in Luna, actually. That would make more sense. That snippet there, yeah. And you're just going to then, parameter 1 and parameter 2 will be those 2 parameters that we're sweeping over.
Okay.
But this, and I was confused by this earlier because I would think that the number of simulations that would be ran would be the multiple of the lengths of these 2 lists, but it's only 9. So
I mean, it's just the lengths of the list because it's pairing them, right?
Just a note, on the product, you must put the unique values because this is going to generate a Cartesian product. So you must have 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3 on 2.
Okay, I think oh wait. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Danilo. Or you can go ahead and run that and see what it puts out. But yeah, it's going to be the Cartesian product, which is not exactly... Yeah, that's not what we want. Oh, you just want to zip. Oh, you can just zip it. So you can just go zip like zip parameter 1, parameter 2.
Actually, I think it's the opposite that thing. Yeah, I think that parameter 1 and parameter 2 must be equals to the zip of the Cartesian product.
Okay, so first of all, just wrap that zip in a list. So go list zip and then that stuff, and you'll get what that's doing first of all.
Okay, so that kind of makes sense. That's what we want to see.
I think so. So we should be able to make that our index. So if we go simulation result dot index equals that.
Dot index or set index?
Either way, I think. What's this? Maybe because it's a tuple, or just go right to the bottom of this error. Let's see what the error is. A length mismatch. Oh, of course. Okay, so this is what Danilo was saying. Yeah. We need to.
Yeah, I just sent a new snippet on Luna.
Cool. And that Cartesian product should be, I think you're going to use what's above there, the list iter tools dot product. The parameter sweep. Because if you run this, you're going to get product is not defined. You got to do the iter tools dot product. And I'm not sure if you have to cast it to a list or not.
Oh, okay. So you're saying just do.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do I set this as the index? Then?
Well, let's see what that is.
I print this. This is just a tuple, right?
Well, it's assigning two values actually. But you can print it as a tuple. I feel like this isn't quite the right exact answer because we're creating two values here. But let's just do that and yeah. So Danilo, it's not quite it's because we should have a list of tuples, but we have a tuple of lists.
I mean, yeah, because let's say parameter 1 is going to have, let's say, it start doing of like what it was doing on the system configuration. But there is a thing that we are doing the Cartesian product. So the parameter 1 and parameter 2 definition should be only unique values. So for example, for parameter 2, it should be only 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. No duplicates. The product you must import from iter_tools. Either call iter_tools.product or from iter_tools import product.
I feel like if you do one more zip on this, what happens if you wrap this in a zip? So you just zip that.
We must change the parameter 1 and parameter 2 definition above that.
Yeah, okay, that'll work, yeah.
Change this.
Maybe just duplicate them because it's going to be a smaller, they're just going to have 3 values each. Just the unique values. Or you could just change those brackets.
That's right.
You could change those brackets to curly braces and it'll auto eliminate the duplicates by being a set.
Big brain.
Still not following how this matches to the index, though.
Anyways, I think if you zip this last thing, it's gonna be what will give us. If you just put a zip, right there, yep. Try that. List zip.
Okay, that seems
Strange. We are still having duplicates on that.
well.
I mean, the duplicate, like you're pulling parameter 1 and then parameter 2 the first, parameter 2 the second. Like there are duplicates listed between parameter 1 and 2, right?
Actually, I'm not saying here parameter 1 is being a set or a tuple. I can't quite see if we have parentheses or curly. I think that's better.
Okay, so these are all the parameter combinations. So we could just multiply each of these elements by the length of a single, because each what we see here is representing a simulation, right? These are each of the simulations that are going to be ran. And
Yeah, so it seems like this is not the right order, if I understand correctly, because wouldn't simulation or subset 1 be this pair, and then subset 2 be 0.4, 0.1? In this, we're doing 0.2 3 times. It's like inverted. So maybe I do.
Yeah, the trick would be to invert the order on the Cartesian product. Instead of being product parameter 1 and 2, we would pass the product of 2 and 1.
Okay, so then, yeah, that should be fine. Cool. Okay. What were you saying, Sean?
Well, and then to get a full index that matches our data frame, because in Python, if you like take a list and multiply it by 7, then you get that list 7 times in a row. Like it'll be 7 times the length. So if you basically do a list comprehension and you multiply each of these elements by the is it n or m? I forget, but it's the length of a simulation. Then I imagine we would have an index that matches our data frame. So you could go. Does this make sense, Danilo?
Yeah, it does make sense. But I'm still thinking why that snippet didn't work.
Yeah. So, Luke, do you have, I think, I forget if it's N or an M, but it's like the number of steps in a simulation?
So we've got in the config
Yeah, T, yeah,
ticked.
maybe.
I guess it's
T is,
T is the time steps.
yes. So if you can, I mean, just use 120, just kind of hardcode 120. So if you do this list comprehension of what we have there, so if you sign what we got, list zip, assign that to like P for parameters, and then if you go brackets and go like something like A times 120 for A in P. Now maybe we should name these better, but now then we want to then we want to that's going to give us a list of lists, so we want to flatten that list. Sorry, this is becoming so complex. This is kind of just
It's a
showcasing
good
the.
learning experience for me.
Okay,
I like,
good.
yeah, I this is part of the stuff that I think in the working with all the cadCAD stuff that's going to be difficult for me is like learning all of these other tools and like manipulations that you can do with the like really vast library of Python stuff.
I think it's important to recognize that the decision to build cadCAD the way that we did with Python was because some of this stuff never goes away, but you get it for free if you have experience as a data scientist. And by for free, I don't mean you know the answer off the shelf, but more that like the fact that Danilo and Sean and myself and Marcus and many of the people who use these tools have other experience in Python data science. It just makes it so that you don't, not everyone has to learn this stuff, but everyone has to learn it at some point. They just, some people have already learned it. Is that, I mean, obviously there's also room to make it easier, and I'm not saying we are trying to do that, but I'm like participating and kind of watching as we go through and like thinking about my own experiences and my like life as a data scientist and the inevitable pain of just like, oh right, data munching, because like data munching,
Yep.
because always it's a like widely known just like
Ever
that like 80 to 90% of data science is actually just data munching.
No.
Yep, so now you gotta, so I'm gonna post something also in Luna, so this is the last, hopefully the last that will do it. So this is to flatten, because right now you have a list of, for each parameters it got exploded into like 120 elements, but now we have to flatten that into one continuous list. So just copy that verbatim and change. Let's see what it says. Change T to P. Yep.
Wait, do you want the comprehension or you want?
Yeah, it's gonna, so either way, so you could, above this line, you could then say like P equals, and we can refactor this to have, yeah, exactly. Okay, what do we got here? How is this, how do we have 10,000?
Oh, probably because there's not just the number of steps. There's also the Monte Carlo steps,
Oh, yeah.
which are 10 per. Um, didn't like that either.
Well, this is a good opportunity for us to know exactly how many. Why is it 10,890? You would think it would be 120 times 10 times the.
Times 9. Yeah, times the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it wanted, right?
Yeah.
Well, not quite. There's
Oh.
another 90 elements, but wonder what that 90 elements is from.
Yeah, I think each simulation has an initial step, so that adds 90.
Okay.
So if you change 120 to 121, then
How come I still way too many elements now?
just maybe print the length of P? So we think it should be 9, right? Oh no, it's going to be way more than 9 because maybe just comment that index assignment. One more above. Yeah. Okay, no, that's 9. Yeah, we've made a mistake in our logic here. So so A times 121 for A and P. So there's 9 parameter combinations in P, and for each one of them, we're going to have 121 of them. Unless that's doing something that we didn't expect. So
That's strange.
I think it's our flat. Maybe it's our flat list. Yeah. First of all, T. Why is that 9? So let's just print out T.
Hey guys.
Yep.
I just did a hack and I've tested on the notebook and it's working. So on the Luna.
Okay, so our flat list function flattened everything, and it flattened our tuples that we didn't.
Parameters as indexes on.
Go ahead, Danilo.
Just use that in place of the cadCAD view snippet that we were using before.
Okay. Just going to comment everything. Okay. And then you said instead of raw system events, I want my simulation result.
I think it's better to run system events. But I think there is no problem being the simulated result. Let's just see if it works.
Didn't like that.
Oh, there is an underscore that disappeared. Do you see the for loop? Put a yeah, that's right. What was that error?
So it's saying configuration option has no attribute simconfig.
Try to go to. Okay. The underscore is missing. So put underscore between sim and config.
Sign takes one positional argument instead of two.
Strange. It's missing two asterisks before the config. I think that Discord has sort of fit in my code. Yeah, the Discord has used some of the Python things as format.
Oh, if you do the like little code wrapper box, it should leave it alone. You want to repaste it?
Triple backticks.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I've sent it.
Let's try this again. Okay, I like
Okay,
that.
here we go.
Okay. So now we've got a full index for all of the parameters. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now, if you want to select a simulation that has a given parameter, you could use a pandas query.
Well, can I do that directly in the plot? Or do I have to reshape the data frame?
Yeah, you could use that of the plot. So face how, for example, you could put the parameter name.
Okay. Let's do throttle. See what happens.
The only thing is that we need to account the df instead of the simulation result. Try to reset the index of df.
Try using what as index?
Reset the index of df. Put df.reset index. Oh no, reset index.
I think we're coming up on the top of the hour. I'm not sure if we're going to figure this out. And I have a hard stop this time.
So I'm happy to hack on this and come up with some cool options for getting some cleaner axes.
That'd be awesome. And then I can look at it and learn. I'll commit this and send you a link to where it is in the repo.
Perfect. Yeah, I would like to do that pretty soon, like in the next couple, like on the weekend while it's fresh. So I'll try to have something that you can take a look at in the next few days.
Okay, cool.
Okay, I found what happened. If you guys want, I can share my screen quickly here.
Sure. Yeah, let me stop sharing mine and
So, are you guys seeing?
Mm-hmm.
So, I've cloned the repository, and the only thing that I have added is the snippet that I sent on the Luna channel. And in order to actually see the
Mm.
parameters on the side, you need to reset the index before. If you don't reset the index here, it's going to give you an error. And well, actually, we could even try another parameter here. Let's see it quickly. So we are sweeping the productivity here, for example. Let's see what happens if we put here productivity. So yeah, we have thing here. Anyway, just make sure that we reset the index and put the parameter here, and well, things can go. I think that's it.
Excellent, Danilo. And can you push that one as well? So what's the org that we're doing? A branch or a separate folder, perhaps, for different people?
yeah, so I created a Luna Swarm repo in the One Hive GitHub, and right now there's just like one folder that has this in it. But we can create multiple folders. Like it's fair game. It would be great to have more stuff in there.
Excellent. Yeah, Danilo, if you can push that, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll push to a branch.
Yeah, when I do the reset index here, though, I don't get the same result. Let me show really quick, and then I've got to go. But I just would love to have this working before I commit it. So you were saying do reset index here, and then have the facet row be my parameter. But
I think we just see your terminal, Luke.
oh no, okay. Share screen. Oh, all my terminals in VS Code windows look the same.
They're all honey colored.
Okay. Yeah. So, are you seeing it now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, still getting this length of argument y3 lengths of previously processed arguments times step.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one.
Go to the above block.
Go to which block?
Try to. Do you see the df equals pd data frame? Try to put simulation result instead of system events. Well, then try it again.
Oh, there we go.
Hooray!
Awesome. Cool. Then in that case, I will push this and send you a link, Sean.
Excellent. Yeah.
Cool.
Good work
Thanks,
on that
everybody.
one. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, I just had a thought. I think that Seaborn has a argument for facet but also for facet column. So we could even have that matrix. But anyway, we can see the next session that.
Cool. I'm gonna run too, but a note for next session. I was talking to Sean, but I also talked to Andrew Clark from Block.Science. So one thing we want to do in the next session is spend a chunk of working time on the data from One Hive's conviction voting relative to the existing conviction voting models. It's something we had talked about in the past, but just like hadn't gotten much attention. I think especially, I don't know, I mean, Luke, I know you're running off, but if you ping Sam, he might also want to join, because we want to have probably some hack time on connecting the data source, presumably queries against the graph, to the model that exists, since it's another thing, honestly, like we should do since we have the materials.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Maybe what we should do is create like an agenda for next week, kind of ahead of time. And then we can ping the relevant people so they can add that specific one to their calendar.
Yeah, so I'm going to punt to Jeff the agenda thing, but I know I already confirmed with Andrew Clark that he's going to join us next week.
Yeah. Awesome. Sorry, was there a specific question about agenda?
Oh, I was just saying that like for most of these calls, we've been pretty ad hoc, but in this case, if we've got a specific thing planned ahead of time, and we are trying to like get specific people that would be interested in that thing, maybe we can like prepare an agenda ahead of time and just share it in the Luna thing, and we can link people to that, or I don't know, something like that.
Absolutely.
But just so we kind of know.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool.
Go ahead, John.
All right, I got to run, guys. Thanks so much. This was awesome. I appreciate the.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks, Luke.
Love to see it come together.
Yeah, Jeff.
Chat soon, guys.
I was just gonna say that I've reached out to Sam about doing some async work on what Zargam was talking about with the conviction voting data. So should work out nicely for next week.
Sweet deal. Perfect. I'll put some notes in the agenda for next call.
I think the agenda may, if Sam can come, involve a little bit of discussion about where the data resides and how to collect it so that knowledge gets transferred. And then sort of, on Andrew's side, a little bit of maybe brief review of the models since we haven't looked at them in a while.
Yeah.
And then just like hacking, kind of like we did today, to sort of bridge the two.
Awesome.
Super cool. Great. Okay. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.